So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another of our Action Together Wednesday weekly sessions. So, this is a bite-sized briefing in collaboration with Action Together and the voluntary community faith sector and the public sector. And so, today we're joined by Anne Whelan from UK Men's Sheds Association, and I'm going to hand over now to Anne to deliver her presentation.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So the UK Men's Shed Association, I put on there a story of a wooden box with a question mark, just to plant that seed, get you thinking about that. We will come back to a slide that covers that, but just bear in mind, a shed, as far as UK men's sheds are concerned, are not necessarily a shed how you would picture them. Next one, please. So who are the UK Men's Sheds Association? So the first men's sheds actually started in Australia in 1999. I think there was this understanding of a need to get men out of the houses and away from worrying potentially about problems and get them involved in something proactive. That's then in 5 other countries around the world, as well as on top of that, the whole of the UK and Ireland. So it's become really popular. First sheds in the UK opened in 2011, and then in 2013, the UK Men's Sheds Association was set up to support the startup, growth and sustainability of men's sheds across the UK. There was about 30 sheds at the time. So we've evolved quite a lot since then. There's well over 1,000 now and quite a lot of others in development. So it's absolutely brilliant. Sounds like a lot, but if you think the best at real community level, we need an awful lot more to be able to support people out there where they live in their local communities. So my role is Shed Development Officer. You can't work anywhere else and have that job title, so it's quite a classic. And it is funded by the Suicide Prevention Fund. My focus is, as it says there, on the north of England, but primarily to work with those communities where there is a high risk of suicide linked to things like high deprivation and health inequalities. Our primary focus, obviously, as I said, it is health inequalities, but it's really about reducing social isolation and that loneliness that people can feel when they've potentially gone through challenges in their life or just found themselves in a place where there's not much going on in life for them, and they really need something to help boost them to get them back out and about and engaging with society again. Next, please. So what is a men's shed? You may be wondering. A men's shed is many different things. As I mentioned, they are based and run by the local communities, but the idea is of bringing men together to participate in activities that may have traditionally been done in a garden shed. So things like, we've got a few there, but like woodworking, gardening, metalwork, but it can be absolutely anything. We've some that purely do recycling or upcycling, with others that do repair work. They'll work with local parks, local authorities, communities. With some that maybe do like recycling of things like push bikes, and then they will donate them or sell them back into the community to raise money to help those local communities. The easiest way of describing it is the men's shed can be absolutely anything, and it's about what potentially an organisation that's involved in setting it up and what the members want their shed to be. So I got told when I first started here that when you've been to see a shed, I expected the saying to be, you've basically seen a shed, and it's like you have seen one shed. And now, having seen about 20 of them, I really understand that, because they're all completely different to each other, all absolutely fantastic in their own right, with an amazing atmosphere from the second you walk through the door. But it's so varied, and it can be about people just learning new skills, becoming involved in new hobbies, but most importantly, getting that connection to the local communities and to people, which they may, it may have been missing in their life until that point. Okay, next, please. So I love this slide. we did a research into the kind of activities that sheds were doing, and a core activity in our sheds is the woodworking. A lot of them do that. I say they don't all, they don't have to. But a lot of the feedback that came back was this gives you an example over the course of a year of what had been made in some of those sheds. So we've got 13,400 seats and benches. They can be indoor, they can be outdoor, they can be absolutely anything. I won't list them all, but things like your bug hotels, bird boxes, things also like bat boxes, planters. Absolutely fantastic. But I love the fact that we recorded that there was over 1 million cups of tea had been had by the members of the sheds in that year, which is amazing. The diagram on the right again gives you some kind of examples. I'll just pull a few out of them, like classic cars, doing railways, they build boats. Oh dear me, they build like model airplanes, cars, trains, anything that you can think of, boats. I've seen some amazing boats. So it's about the interests of the people that come into that shed that bring knowledge with them, they bring interests with them. And as the shed grows, quite often they will diversify into doing different activities as new members join them. So what we always say is just start somewhere, start with, a cohort of people that have an interest and take it forward and see where it goes to from there, really. There is no golden rule as to what it needs to look like or do. Okay, next, please. So putting all the activities aside, what men's sheds are really about is about the people, the members of that shed, and how it makes them feel, how it changes them as people by giving them sense of belonging, that positive purpose. It gives them somewhere where they can talk openly to the people around them. And the saying is that men talk shoulder to shoulder as opposed to face, especially about things that are personal, that matter to them. So, whilst they are conducting these activities, which they might be doing, like working on their own project, or they may be working on a shared project, but they have somebody sat at the side of them doing something similar, and they will chat to that person without looking at them. And that breaks down those barriers in a way. It makes it easier for someone to talk. And conversations will just naturally evolve from talking about most basic things like how did somebody get there that day? Did they walk? Do they live locally, etc.? Are they married? And so on. And people will start to trust the people around them, talk about what's going on in their lives. And through doing that, that support naturally evolves. They become like a family. They actually refer to themselves, the members of the sheds, are shedders, and they belong to that shed, and they call themselves shedders, members of that shed, with pride. It means such a lot to them because they get such a lot out of it. I think additionally, they connect with their local communities because of the activities that they undertake through the shed, and things like commissions. It sounds like a formal word, but it isn't really. It's being asked to do things by local communities like the schools, like other organisations, or parks, like I mentioned. And through that, they will begin to interact with those other organisations and potentially volunteer with them, potentially go to activities that they're delivering. And so alongside somebody becoming a member of the shed, it opens their world to a whole lot more activities and people and networks that all the time helps them develop the confidence, helps them to deal with any issues that may be going on in their life, and gets them involved in new things, which is absolutely brilliant. Next one, please. So who is a men's shed for? So a question I get asked all the time is, can women join the men's shed? And the answer is yes, depending upon that shed. So each shed will set up with its own constitution under a banner of an organisation. So some say from day one, yes, we'll open it up to women. Some have youth sheds, various other sheds like I've listed at the bottom there. But some may say, well, we want, 1 or 2 days that's just for men. And then we might have a mixed day where both men and women can come, or we might have a ladies' day. Some literally from day one just say, well, it's open to anybody. It could be, anyone over 18, we're not bothered who they are, just come along, come and join the shed. So it's about what that shed wants, what the initial members of the shed want. And as I say, over time, it will potentially evolve into opening more days and delivering different activities involving different people. So organically, a lot of the sheds are men over 60. One, because they have the time more than people who work, although some sheds are open at, say, of an evening or a weekend to accommodate the people that work as well or have caring commitments. But traditionally, they are men over a certain age who do find themselves in that situation in life where they may have been bereaved, they've recently retired, and they've just lost the purpose in life. They may be struggling with health conditions. They may be struggling with mental health for any reason whatsoever, or actually they may just want to get involved in something. And as they come and actually volunteer and show other people how to learn different skills. So a men's shed is for absolutely anybody, but the way in which we always ask for it to be promoted really is as a men's shed so that it calls out to men to come and join them. Historically, in the voluntary sector, there can be so many different initiatives running on a daily basis that are open to both men and women, but very often it's a really small proportion of men that actually attend these activities. So something like a men's shed, it will call to men to say, this is for you, come and join us. And it gets a man out of the house that may otherwise not do that. So it's absolutely brilliant initiative in that respect. Okay, next one, please. So alongside the benefits to the individuals that join the shed is there are benefits to the local community. Like I mentioned, there are opportunities for the sheds to create things for the community. They interact with other types of organisations within the community. So as say, everyone is different, but some I know of will work with people with disabilities or with a learning disability. Some work with young people, they'll run workshops. There's so many different opportunities for the shed to become an interactive part of that community. And so it develops the community around them, but it also makes sure that things like disused property are getting used because these can be converted into a men's shed. And ultimately, it reduces the impact on health services where someone may have become needing carer support because of the situation, whereas actually, because the health improves through attending a men's shed, that's no longer the case. So it can make a significant difference to the local community. Next one, please. So I touched on this as in the types of sheds that there can be. Predominantly, there's three models. So the community-led one is for individual people who come together. We'll always recommend try to get at least two other people along with you if you have an idea, so that you can start to form a steering group. And then it's all the work's not falling on to one person, but you've also got more heads with ideas, more local knowledge that people can bring into that may know of potentially property that could be used or a space where something like a shipping container could be placed or a shed, actually. But they will have that local knowledge to also interact with other organisations, know local people, develop the membership of the shed and develop ideas for that shed. So a way of going about doing that is to actually, I'm probably jumping ahead to one of my slides, but it doesn't matter, is to form a steering group and say maybe put that idea out there to your community, get people to come along and find out more about it. And then you can go forward as a group with everyone simply inputting ideas. It doesn't matter what skills or experience anybody has. You know, they can join that group right from the start and just come along every week and listen to the ideas and contribute to those ideas. Secondly, is a project shed. So these would be run by an organisation who wouldn't need obviously to set up their own constitution for the shed. The shed would come under the banner of the organisation, so therefore the policies and procedures and things like that. The project in turn would be able to offer property a space for the shed to be placed. But the third one is actually a combination of those. So an organisation may want to support a shed, but still help them to set up so they have their own constitution. They are a shed in their own right, and they can decide on their own model. And it's just that the organisation is there to support them to do that, and say, hopefully, to provide them with space to do that. Next one, please. So where can a shed go? Absolutely anywhere is the easy answer to that. Again, you will see such a variety of places where they are. There is lots more than this. We literally cannot put them all on the diagram. But the easiest way of describing it is they can be anywhere that works for that organisation. It may just be that somebody says, look, we've had this building, this room empty for 3 years. Please come along and use it. So it develops as a shed. The shed in turn often helps out that organisation in different ways. So things like potentially helping them with their gardens is quite a common one, or making things for them. The organisations, again, will have ability to connect to networks of people. So one of the key ones there is like sports clubs are a really good one. They can help communicate about the shed, and they can support the shed through like their social networks and so on. So they're really great reciprocal relationships. But the beauty of all of these is that they're really in the heart of the community, which is where a men's shed works best, because it enables those local people to get to know other local people. Okay, next one, please. So how to set up a shed. So I touched on this a couple of slides ago. Basically, just promoting your idea. The way we would do it, say in 4 to 6 weeks' time, we're having a get together about men's sheds. Put it out there through as many different channels as you can into the community, and invite people to come along on a certain day. I would come along to support that. I would ask local shedders to come along and support that, so that they can talk about their first-hand experience and what they do in their shed and what it means to them. And then people can get a real feel for it. And from that day, they can put ideas in there, and they can say, I prefer maybe to just be a member once the shed's up and running, but please keep in touch. Or yes, I'd love to get involved right from the start, and count me in to come and join the steering group and meet up with you each week. Once you've got that steering group going, if it's under an organisation, as they are in support of one, that organisation can help them to develop a plan. Or they can simply come together and create their own plan. But the third step, and to me this is the most important one really, is as soon as you hold that open day to talk to people about the shed, that's the start of your shed. Because long before those doors actually open, you've got people coming together every week that are having a laugh, they're bouncing ideas around, they're talking to each other, getting to know each other. That's what a shed is all about. So literally your shed is happening from day one of getting those people together. Once they've got them together, and I say, obviously, you can support them if it's an organisation, but that's primarily what we are here for. We're here to support that startup, but also to support that development. We're only a small charity ourselves, but we do have a range of staff scattered across the country. But key really to that support is the volunteers out of the men's sheds. So we have some volunteers that are ambassadors, and they will work closely with new sheds being set up. We can match you with sheds that run similar activities, so that you can talk to them firsthand about how they did it, what works, what doesn't work, and just really get that insight from the people that are already doing it. And lastly is to say that on our website, we have a huge amount of resources. This is a classic example of one of them that we are just about finalising, but the idea was so that at, say, these steering group meetings, the first get together, we can show people something like this and show them the easy steps of how to get a shed going. But obviously in support of that, on our website, we have far more detailed information about every single step of the way, all the information that they may need. We do have a membership, and there a charge for membership after the first year. So anyone setting up a shed gets the first year for free. And in the second year, well, in your first year, even where you've got free membership, you would actually get lots of discounts as well that we've negotiated with companies out there. So an example of those is Wix, for instance. So you can get discounts on products that you would buy resources to create those activities within your shed. So at the moment, our membership is only £30 even when you pay for it. And actually, the first time you order anything, you will get that money back in effect with the saving that you make. So I would recommend that. But as I say, the first year is free so that anyone new to setting up a shed can access all of the resources that they need. Anything that they can't find, just give us a call or email us, because a lot of our staff have been around a long time and have an incredible wealth of knowledge about different sheds that are out there and how they run, and they would be able to put you in touch with somebody that would answer any question that you might have.